All right, so we're back here once again on the special edition of Couch Coach Live. We get you primed and ready to continue our 10th annual NFL preview as we'll talk about the AFC North. So we'll be talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, and the Cincinnati Bengals. We got a few guests coming on momentarily, but we got our special guest in the building. My NFL matchup madness brethren, representing the boys from the Avenue, the Baltimore Ravens. My guy JJ, what's going on, man?
You said Avenue just like a Be More person, and I am dying. Right?
Thank you.
I new grew and grew. But what's going on, man? Not much. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Just trying to, just here, on a Tuesday. So, and shout out to you, because I try to perfect the Baltimore accent at time from time to time, but I'm glad you called that out. Appreciate that for you. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate being on. Fun fact, though, crazy. I'm from the Maryland side that's closer to D.C. I just love the Ravens, always have. So it's always been fun, but I appreciate being on.
It is all good. So what we're going to do with during this preview, we'll talk about our biggest storylines in the division, players to watch, breakout players, our bold takes of the AFC North, and some record predictions. So this is gonna be a wild week. I think it's gonna be a historic week. I think for some of these North teams on the AFC and on the AFC and NFC side. But we'll stick around with that. What we'll do, we'll keep the intro and we'll be right back here on Couch Coach Live, and we can start our in the AFC North preview. Yes, and we like that here on Couch Coach Live. Yeah. That's how we get down here, JJ. So you know how we roll here. Yeah. But and see, we got Browns fans already in the building. Shout out to my guy Lamar, aka Bell. He got go Browns. So we definitely gonna talk about the Cleveland Browns. In this preview as well, and So first thing I want to discuss with this preview is essentially some storylines to watch in the AFC North. JJ, you got any storylines that you're looking at? It could be Baltimore centric or just any of your AFC brethrens or rivals. What you got?
So I do think two highlights I've been watching all day. Number one, of course, is the J.K. Dobbins holdout with my Baltimore Ravens. I understand why he's doing it, but it's caused a little bit of a rift within the Baltimore Ravens fan base. And it's just, at the end of the day, he's a valuable part of this team. He wasn't given a chance to show his value in a playoff game in a critical situation. So with this going on and him holding out, I think that's a big story to watch because he really does, in fact, affect the Baltimore offense, when we like to run the football. But I also like to see what's happening. I hate to say it, but, what's going on at Pittsburgh seems interesting to me with George Pickens, because he's getting a lot of rave, and he showed a really great arsenal of moves and ability and great catches last year. So I've been watching to see how those have been developing. And I actually think, Pittsburgh is a team that, every team in the division or even in the conference should kind of like not necessarily gloss over, because they have a potential to possibly challenge, but may not win the AFC North.
All right. So we'll get Maui in the frame momentarily. Get some response. What you say, JJ?
No, I just I was going to say something about the injury prone, because I think he was referring to
Yeah,
J.K.
yeah. Yeah.
J.K. only had one significant injury, and the surgery he took into last year was because he wanted to remove the scarring tissue after the pre-successful surgery earlier. So it's not as if he was actually injured. He just took the best stats for him. And ever since that time he came back, he's been flying by. So I wouldn't necessarily say injury prone is the right way to describe who J.K. Dobbins is right now.
And it's only fair, obviously, with your rival. I got Bear. We'll try to play nice tonight, but you know how it is with these rivalries.
We don't even care about the Browns. Like, okay, hey, good job.
So yeah, let's bring in Maui in the frame.
Check.
What's going on, man?
What's up?
What's going on?
Chilling.
What's going on?
With you? Can you hear me?
Good, man. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
So we're kicking off the AFC North. Any storylines to watch that you're looking at this upcoming season?
I mean, I see everybody's already talking about injuries. I feel like with all four teams, I wouldn't say just the quarterbacks alone. Like if any of them get hurt, it's gonna make things even worse, man. Like the only thing I would have faith is my team, because the coach, he coached that, next man up mentality. But if Burrows get hurt, are you really looking at the Bengals the same? If Lamar get hurt, are you really looking at the Ravens the same? And if you look at the Browns, like, are you really looking at them the same? I mean, I know, we're not really looking at them the same. Like, I feel like if Kenny get hurt, Kenny hasn't really proved himself just yet. But yeah, you know what? I will say that, Bear, that they do have the worst QB. You are so smart. No wonder you're a Browns fan. But still, at the same time, I don't even know why he plays with me. He blocked me before. I'm just kidding, Bear. I love you, proud of you. But basically what I'm saying is I think it's a lot of star players though. Like if Watt get hurt, yeah, the defense steps up, but when Watt is on the floor, when Watt is on the field, they're a more dangerous team. Odell, like, is he really gonna be Odell he used to be? Like, I just think it's gonna be based upon some of these star players and definitely the QBs, how their health is gonna be.
Yeah, and Lamar just doing his thing. So shout to,
it's gonna be one of those shows.
Yeah. So and also I forgot to mention before we got started, our 10th annual Couch Coach Live NFL preview is powered by SeatGeek. Head over to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code CouchCoach to get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. So I think the biggest storylines for me in the AFC North is essentially a series of year two. Obviously, year two of Kenny Pickett. Will he be? I know last year didn't have the best season, but he's starting to emerge potentially. And then now the first full season of Deshaun Watson in his Cleveland Brown offense. He showed flashes. Obviously, I think, and me and Bear, we've talked about this before. I think New Year's Day, I think that's when he kind of turned the clock back to his previous self. So I look at this too. Can the Bengals return the Super Bowl? The Cincinnati Bengals was a great story. Oh, we want a playoff text. We have those type of cute things. That's done. Winning playoff games is not the standard anymore. Like going to the Super Bowl essentially is a standard now, and winning the Super Bowl is a standard now for Cincinnati. And can they live up to those expectations? And then even with you, JJ, with the Baltimore Ravens. See, I tried, right? So Todd Monken, I think I'm really curious his offense, how it will translate in the NFL. Obviously, he coming from Georgia. That team averaged 40 points a game offensively in college. Can that translate to that, and can make Lamar once again a MVP caliber quarterback? And then Cleveland. I think Cleveland, and this is another thing that me and Bear talked about. You look at now bringing in Jim Schwartz, their defensive coordinator. Getting rid of Joe Woods, and we know essentially if history repeats itself, Jim Schwartz always fielded a top 10 defensive team in his stints in Tennessee, Buffalo, and also with the Eagles. So really curious how those pieces will be for the Cleveland Browns. So yes, Son Woods. Yes, that's best favorite word to call Joe Woods there. But yeah, hey, it is what it is. So let's talk about some players that we are looking forward to seeing in the AFC North. I'm gonna go with you first, JJ. What's some players? It could be Baltimore centric, and it could be any of your AFC North foes. What you got?
I actually am looking forward to seeing what George Pickens is going to do this year, because I think he has the potential to be a serious threat. And personally, for me being a Ravens fan, I got to look out for these threats. He made some really acrobatic catches, and I think, Kenny Pickett and him have a good little connection going on. So I'm interested to see what his season's going to be like. Is he has a chance to make the Pro Bowl? Does he have a chance to possibly get an All-Pro? We don't know. How far will Kenny progress to, as well as George Pickens, but and I'll also add Lamar, strictly because he got the contract. You don't have anything that's kind of on your mind coming into a season. You're a guy who believes in loyalty, and your team just showed you their loyalty to you. You have a new offense that allows you to actually be a quarterback. I'm very curious to see what you're about with this. Like, are you the guy that I think you are? Are you the guy that I consistently, always back up when, there's conversations about you? Or we're going to see what's up, just to see, because I really am thinking that he's going to have a very good season, but I'm very curious to see what he's going to do this year.
Yeah. What you got, Maui?
I got Odell. I mean, the players who I just want to see how they're going to do. I got Odell, Beckham. If he's the same Odell Beckham that he was the last time we saw him, it seemed like he was getting back to himself. Lamar Jackson, of course, especially with this new offense, and he's got paid. I really didn't like. This is so weird. I'm a Steeler, but if the Steelers don't make it and the Ravens win, I'm not mad because I want Lamar to shine. That's just it is what it is. I didn't like how he got treated. When he was asking for his money, they always want us to move on and not remember, you know what I mean, the circumstances of when he wanted his money and how he was getting talked about, how people kept saying he was injury prone. But then if you sit there and think about the Ravens in the past, like it was always injuries, not just him. It was always injuries, and he would always have to put the game, on the line himself. You know what I mean? Like that's just true. Mm-hmm. But then when he gets hurt, after you done ran him to the ground, now you trying to say, come on, man, you know who you got. Like you go to college, you don't believe that. Listen to how they talk about it. Anyway, but I got Lamar Jackson. I definitely Deshaun Watson, and see if he's going to show some type of promise of what he had when he was with the Texans. Definitely Kenny Pickett to see if he's going to keep the ball running. And then I got tight end Mark Andrews. Because I feel like they have a lot more weapons now. And I think he's going to be able to shine a little bit more because it's more options. And I got TJ Watt. I just want him to be healthy. You know what I mean? I want him. He gets hurt a lot. And when he's not hurt, they're dangerous.
Yeah.
He's kind of being heck of a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he's kind of being asked to be
that.
And he is that guy, but
right.
It can wear on your body like that.
Right.
Yeah. I think in this division, it's funny because when you look at the AFC North historically, the old AFC Central,
mm-hmm.
they were never really, like when you talk about quarterbacks, as far as a nice collection of quarterbacks, you never, that's never tied with this division until like now.
What?
So
you
I
ain't
think
like Joe Flacco, Ben Roethlisberger, Andy Dalton era?
Not really. I mean, yeah, y'all had some guys, but I mean, you got like guys who literally 3 guys have played at MVP like level recently. So that's another thing too. And then also you got a Kenny Pickett there as well. So I look at the quarterback play as well. For Pittsburgh, Patrick Peterson. I think that's a sneaky, low key like acquisition that they got in the offseason. I definitely, with him having 5 interceptions last year, a career high, which is crazy to think as he gets older, like he's putting up this type of performance. So I look at that. Cleveland, Zadarius Smith. I think, especially in this Jim Schwartz offense, I want to see what he does with it. Obviously, last year he had 10 sacks last year with the Minnesota Vikings. And then also Juan Thornhill for Cleveland. Obviously he was with Kansas City last year. What he'll be with this team, obviously, you look at that secondary with Greg Newsome, Del Pitt, just a bunch of guys on that secondary. Cincy, I mean, it's weird. I mean, you think to yourself, you got Jamar Chase. Right. Obviously, he's going to be, he's essentially death taxes and at least having 1,000-yard receiving yards every year of his career. So, will he keep up with that pace? So, the AFC North is very interesting. This used to be what I call the black and blue division, but we might have some offensive fireworks going on in this division. This is not our parents' AFC North or AFC Central where they used to be, but this is gonna be fun though.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So, breakout players in this division. So it could be, pretty much just any breakout players. I'm gonna go with you first, JJ. Like I said, once again, it could be Baltimore centric, or it can be, in the AFC, any of your AFC North foes.
I guess if you're trying to be objective, you got to talk about your other, your comrades or whatever. But I'm not that right now. So we're going to sit here and talk about, I'm looking forward to seeing what Kyle Hamilton's going to do as the starting strong safety in this defense, because he was definitely in the nickel for most of our season last year and played rather well. He corrected a lot of his mistakes from early on in the season. Like that famous debacle that we went through is because of, lapses on the defensive side that he was on against Miami, but he finished the season well. So now he's coming back, and having Marcus Williams back is definitely helping out. If I had to say from another team, a breakout player, I think it could be Najee Harris. I honestly think Najee, because one thing that you have to realize, and I think most teams realize, like Pittsburgh does, is that to really help a quarterback, you need to learn from your mistakes from the year before and also run the football. You revamp that offensive line. You really want to run the football. Pittsburgh's not a team that likes to air it out too much. They just did it because Big Ben was there, and that's what he wanted to do. But they're really bread and butter, to me, has always been running the football. So I really think Najee has a good chance to be a breakout player because he has shown to have that big playability, and he's an every down back.
Right. Okay. All right. Maui, you got any breakout players in the North?
I got a few, man. I'm gonna go. Definitely Kenny Pickett. This is the second year. It's full season. I think now, him being able to work with the offense, I think he's going to be doing better, and he knows for a fact he is the starting quarterback compared to last year. I'm gonna say I got Marlon Humphreys. I got Marcus Williams, especially coming off his injury, and I don't want to mess their name up. David Ojabo. Am I tripping? Did I say it wrong?
I think it's Ojabo. But
Ojabo. I'm sorry. And basically what I'm saying is that last game, it seemed like your defense really stepped up. And I think this season, the pass rush, and I'm saying because they didn't have the best year last year, I'm saying that the pass rush should be a little better. I don't want to mess the other guy's name up either. I think it's Awawa or something like that.
Odafe Owe.
Odafe, I'm sorry. I don't want to mess his name up.
Odafe.
But I seen promise in that last game where the defense really stepped up. And I feel like with Lamar getting paid, Odell being there, and Odell is one of those guys where one of those players I think is like a I want to say like a celeb or he just can get everybody energetic to have fun and then also work hard. I think that's going to help them be a better them. You know what I mean? If that makes sense to you. Then I got Alex Highsmith. He got 15 sacks last season. I think that he's going to be somebody to watch. He's the number 2 rusher for the Steelers. George Pickens, definitely. And then the corner, Denzel Ward. He had for the Bengals, he had a decent season, but I feel like he's going to go to another level.
Yeah, big time. I'm gonna start first with the Ravens. I think Zay Flowers. I think he's. I think I got some. I got high praise for Zay Flowers. Obviously, if you know me, I'm an ACC guy. So Zay Flowers,
right,
pretty much Boston College leader in. I think what is it? Receptions all time, yards and touchdowns. So he's like pretty much probably the most prolific wide receiver that Boston College has ever seen. Not saying much, but that's still a great feat, especially at Boston College. I definitely think now, especially when we talk about Todd Monken's offense, how he would fit in there. Like you said, I know you talked about him out as far as Mark Ingram. I know he kind of wants to have it like that offense, even though it's a basketball tournament in a sense, but like he wants that spacing. He wants like sideline to sideline, kind of keep you guessing and want to throw it downfield. He has, pretty much want to stretch the defense from sideline to sideline. I definitely think Zay Flowers is a guy that will definitely fit that mold of what they want there. So I look at that as a guy, and then also too a sneaky one. I think Devin Duvernay. I think he's another one. I think, especially from a special teams aspect, I think he will definitely do some damage for the Ravens as well. I say George Pickens, and I keep saying George Pickens for the last 2 years. I'm telling you, next year I won't be saying this because this year he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver.
Right.
So he's not even going to be on this breakout next year because this year is going to be his year that he's going to break out. I might have said that last year too, but
I ain't even bring him up because I already said him in the previous segments.
Right? Yeah, but either or, I mean, it's all good. Yeah, because it's some of it kind of intertwines, as well too. So it kind of what's some sleepers, what's some guys, because some of it, some of the players we watch kind of obvious, and some are kind of like tweeners. So I look at George Pickens. He had 801 yards last year. I definitely think he'll hit that 1,000 mark, especially now when you have there's no quarterback carousel this year. Kenny Pickens is going to be the quarterback all year. They're not going to go to my nephew Joe Montana Trubisky.
Okay, woo.
They're not, but so I know Kenny Pickens is going to be their starter, so they're going to have stability at that position. So I can see him getting that. The Browns, I look at Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think, especially in that offense, you got Amari Cooper on one end, Elijah Moore, which I definitely think he's a one. He could definitely fit in this criteria as well, especially coming from the Jets. How he would be in this offense, because I looked at him really high with the Jets, like since he's been drafted. So this is another opposite another place where I think he could be good as well. And then rounded out the North, Cam Taylor-Britt, the cornerback. I think now with their cornerback, I don't want to miss his name either, but the former quarterback that used to play for Dallas, he used to play for University of Colorado. So he's out with an injury. Mm-hmm. So I think now, this could be an opportunity for Cam Taylor-Britt to step up, especially now with Eli Apple gone. He's now in Miami. So this is going to be a great opportunity for him to step up to the plate, especially and defend these wide receivers that we talked about, these playmakers that we talk about, the Zay Flowers of the world, potentially Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones, those like kind of 2-3 slot receivers that we've been talking about as of late. He's gonna be be on some of those guys that we've already mentioned. So this will be a great opportunity for him, I think, to step up, especially as their depth as far as from the cornerback position has thinned out a little bit, but most definitely.
Yeah, who's the receiver that got traded to the Bears from the Steelers?
Your boy. Oh shoot, what's his name?
Chase Claypool.
Claypool, yeah, Notre Dame dude.
And I think that void, because they were looking at him kind of like being the number one at one time. By him being gone, by him being gone, now they got their core, their young core, they all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big things too. Like it really opened the door. You know what I mean? When you don't have it, sometimes you want options, but sometimes you just want your core. You know?
Yeah, and plus Pittsburgh is just such a wide receiver factory. Like, I mean, you can just go down a list of how many guys they've developed and became, these 1,000-yard perennial 1,000-yard receivers. So, and I think George Pickens feels that feels. I mean, he's the next generation of that, and and I thought Chase was gonna be the same way, but I think Chase would be good, and we probably will talk about him on Thursday night. I mean, like Charles Mark said, I guarantee we probably gonna talk about Chase Claypool.
He kind of went downhill ever since that tweet. He's a young guy. He made that tweet about losing, never heard of her, and ever since that moment, it's just been gradually going downhill for him.
Especially when they showed that highlight of him like doing a cut, and I was like, it was, and it's sad with like you got an analyst that's a receiver, and he was like, that's got to be one of the laziest cuts. No, it was Romo. Romo said, yeah, come on, man. You got to cut a little harder than that. You're not giving the quarterback no option. I was like, deuces.
He's the type of guy that did not go buy into the fact that Pittsburgh, you can be yourself, but bro, you on this field, you got to be on this field. Like you can't just act like, I'm a chill. I'm a. He did some things. I'm like, bro, like you definitely aren't Pittsburgh Steeler made, bro. Like that's just not what they do around there.
But yeah, all right. So before we conclude on the breakout player, we'll bring another guest. I got JB in the building. We'll bring him in. What's going on, man?
What's up?
What's going on?
I'm going. Nothing much going. Experiencing a typhoon right now here in Korea.
Wow.
Yeah, there's typhoon. I mean, it's typhoons are basically it's basically a hurricane, but it's in the Pacific Ocean. So I mean, it's not as bad as like we get every once in a while like on the East Coast we'll get like a Category 5 or something or a Category 4. So it's just raining a lot at the moment. But yeah, it's been kind of a wild. Since I've come back from the Philippines, the weather's been like horrible here. It's been raining a lot, or it's been like scorching hot. So yeah.
Yeah. So before we go to our bold takes, I want to get your breakout players for the AFC North.
Ooh, my breakout player. All right. I'm probably going to look very foolish in a couple of months, but my breakout player, I'm going with Jordan Love, man. I honestly, I'm going to say this.
We're talking the AFC North.
Oh, the AFC North. Oh my God. Man, my bad. I thought,
for
some reason, I thought AFC North. Breakout player in the AFC North. This is a good one because I didn't think about this one. I'm gonna say Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Kenny Pickett. I'm gonna go Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett will have a good year. I really liked what I saw from him down the stretch. Pittsburgh. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Pittsburgh this year. Mike Tomlin's the best coach in the division, in my personal opinion, and he always has his guys well prepared to play. Pickett didn't turn the ball over towards the end of last year either. I think Pickett's gonna have a good year, man.
Okay. Any other players in the division that you're looking at as breakout players?
Let me see. I can't think of any. I can't think of any off the top of my head at the moment. So
okay, no problem.
Yeah.
All right. So in the last two divisions, we've done the West, the two West. We've had some scorching hot takes. Not saying there's no pressure on you gentlemen tonight, but we had some hot takes last week. So let's go and do our bold AFC North takes. I'm gonna go with you first, JJ, representing Avenue. What you got with your bold takes?
Okay, me too. Go ahead, big kid. I mean, the kid Gowie who runs the Stress Avenue. The bold take. I'm gonna be about that life. I think the Ravens will go 13-4, win the division, and Lamar finishes top 5 in passing yards, with a chance to possibly be going for MVP because I believe in that guy. I believe in the team that is around him. I believe in the weapons that are brought in, and we've seen the production of the quarterbacks that have had these weapons come in. And, I think, the guys got the talent. And I think this team was a 10-win team on its own without having Greg Roman calling the plays. And I think a lot that I'm seeing out of the training camp, a lot that I'm seeing about just how things are being conducted in terms of running the offense for Lamar, I got this team being really good. I got this team being a top 2 seed in the AFC with Lamar actually showing people now that he's actually able to, because I just want to highlight, there's an article that came out from James Hensley, which is the #1 Ravens writer in ESPN. He was basically saying how, compared to Greg Roman to now this offense, you see Lamar being able to slide protection, recognize blitz coverages, recognize everything that's going on the field and actually allowed to be a quarterback. I think he's about to do great. And I had an earlier segment where I said, I'm curious to see what he's about. But my personal belief is he's going to rock it out. He got his money. He's going to show out like, what, you did this for me. We're going to run through. And I got him being 13-4, Lamar getting top 5 in passing yards.
Oh, so it's going to be 2019 all over again, essentially.
Excuse me. I don't know if you understand what getting into the playoffs feels like too much, but we're going to progress every year.
Oh, man. That was a shot. That was a shot. Oh, man.
Hold on. Because have y'all won a playoff game this decade?
We won one against the Tennessee Titans, the same team that beat us back in 2020.
One, okay. So you got one less than I do.
But we go there further. We get a chance to go there more. Do you know what you're going to be about this year? Do you know what's going on with y'all right now?
You'll find out. You'll find out a week from Monday on Monday Night Football. We will get that streak. We're going to beat that preseason streak.
Every time y'all play us, y'all don't seem to win. So, bring it on.
Okay.
I support any Baltimore on Washington Commanders violence. So you two go ahead at it.
But okay.
And I'm sitting here living in DC. I will go, and crazy thing is where I work, I'm hoping to run across the player because I'm gonna tell their team about how I really feel about them.
You'll find out when y'all come to FedEx. A week from Monday.
Make sure your seats don't collapse.
Oh, we got you. We good. If Beyonce made it through without the weather issues, we good. So we can survive anything.
That's because she paid $100,000 to keep the metro open so people can get home.
Noted.
Yeah.
Wow. No, true story. I read that today.
That was so right. Yeah.
She paid $100,000 to keep the metro open for another hour. All 98 trains.
That's crazy.
Crazy. But before we get Maui's in JB's take, shout out to the pod father. I got Jeff. Right. So Cincinnati takes a step backwards this year.
Yeah. And I know why.
Distinct possibility.
I know why. If you pay attention, anytime Lamar's healthy, if he ain't hurt, Cincinnati don't really step up. They usually be a 2 or 3. They don't, and that's just the truth. I'm not being, what I'm saying, but I'm just telling that's the truth. Like if people, I'm like, hey, as long as Lamar playing, man, they winning. They usually be number 1 in the division. It's the truth.
Possibly, yeah.
They've never, Joe Burrow, and as good as this team, I'll just say this. They've never beaten a fully healthy Ravens squad.
Right.
Like a fully healthy, everyone healthy, they're healthy, we're healthy. They have never beaten us at full strength.
So I'm a freestyle mind my take is with the new offense that Lamar is going to struggle. That does not mean Lamar is not going to figure out a way to win. But by the end of the season, keep going, you're going to start seeing things click. Because I can't contradict myself once we go to the next one. We go to the next part, right? But I do feel that at first, because even though I'm sure he can do it, but let's not forget how Lamar really won. There was a run-first team. Now you're saying you want to spread out and you want to use everybody's talent, and I get that, but it's going to take commitment. I'm gonna tell you why I'm saying this. Remember Todd Haley? Remember we had him
Mhm.
as offensive coordinator? One of the reasons they got him because Ben was getting too many concussions. So they did a spread, more of a spread type of offense. So they wanted the ball out of his hands as fast as you can. But everybody's numbers went up. Ben's numbers went up. Le'Veon Bell's numbers went up. Antonio Brown's numbers went up. So it's going to take a certain amount of commitment before it really moves forward. So that's my take.
Yeah. So it's your bold take. Okay. JB, what's your bold take for the AFC North?
Okay, I have a few, and actually, I was thinking about it. I mentioned Kenny Pickett. My and I don't know if you really can call him a breakout player, but I think you'll see Deshaun Watson return to form this year. I think that he was extremely rusty last year. I think that him missing essentially 2 years was a big part of him not playing well last year, but I think he'll return to form. My take is this. I think that the Odell Beckham signing was not a good signing for the Ravens. I think that when you look at what Lamar does well, I think that the Ravens have always made a mistake of like trying to get a deep vertical threat for Lamar, and I don't think that they need that. I think that they need actually possession receivers who can actually catch and run after the ball. Lamar really, to me, doesn't throw a very good deep ball. I think he's better in between the numbers, actually. So I don't think that Lamar, and I'm not saying that the Ravens are going to have a bad year, but I don't think the Odell Beckham signing is going to pay dividends for, it's going to pay dividends for the Ravens. And my other take is that I think if the Browns stay healthy with Deshaun, I think the Browns are going to make the playoffs this year.
Interesting. And that leads to my point, which is I want to kind of tease it, but I really don't want to. What I do with a record prediction, make it even more spicier. So I think the AFC North will come down to the wire. So I think either the Browns versus the Bengals or the Steelers versus the Ravens, Week 18 matchups, one of them are going to be a Sunday Night Football flex. I think it's going to come down to that. And I honestly think every team in this division, call me crazy, will be over 500. I can make a case for everyone. And it's funny to think, even with Pittsburgh, who we think on a paper standpoint may not have the best quarterback in this division. But like you said, JB, they got Mike Tomlin. Like it's almost like we talked about Jamar Chase death taxes and 100K receiving yards a year. Death taxes and Mike Tomlin having at least 500 record. So I definitely think that is going to be the case. Do I do it now or do I wait for the records? Because I'll wait for the records. But and shout out to the Paul Father. Good point. If Watson's good, the North is up for grabs, and I definitely agree. So I really don't want to. I'll wait for the predictions because it's gonna be a little intense. So we're gonna do our record predictions. So JJ, what you got as far as how the North is gonna play out record wise? What you got?
So as I said in my prediction, as part of my bold thing, I got Baltimore ending at 13-4. I understand the concerns with the team. I understand the concerns with certain of the signings because, like, you know, one of fellow guests on here mentioned that Odell hasn't proven to be healthy, but I think Baltimore is a good team as well. Like Mike Tomlin, the Ravens typically are a .500 team by default anyway. And Lamar has shown you that he can get 2 or 3 wins out of it in the first place. So I don't think it's out of the sight to think that it could be 13-4. I do think Cincinnati finishes 11-6. I think that they are the second best team in the division, even though I have a ton of respect and a ton of love for Deshaun Watson. I definitely believe he is definitely a great quarterback. I at one time wanted us to draft him, but I think just with what Cincinnati is made of, even though they have the issues with Joe Burrow's leg injury right now, they believe in running the football. And Joe Mixon has been very productive, and that's helped their team even when they couldn't really pass the ball the way they'd like to in certain games, being able to win. I think they're the second best team in the division. I do have Cleveland finishing third, and I got them finishing 10-7. I do think they're going to knock that third and final seventh playoff spot. I think that Deshaun is a very capable quarterback, and he has a run game, which any quarterback benefits from a run game. But he had a good run game in Houston, but he didn't have a run game of the Nick Chubb caliber, and like he has in Cleveland. So I think that Cleveland's going to show up, and Deshaun's going to. He doesn't have to worry about the antics of the guy showing up with the people that are alleging they're accusing against him at the game is like a taunt or nothing. He can actually play football. And I think when he can actually play football, he has a chance to get 10 wins. The AFC North is tough. Ironically, I have Pittsburgh finishing 9-8. I just do not think that they're as great as the other teams. I respect their coaches. I respect Mike Tomlin. I respect having Brian Flores on the defensive side. So I do expect that defense to be tough and ferocious. But I think the three quarterbacks that are actually commanding these other teams have just a different level factor for right now until Kenny Pickett gets to that level that they can overcome any adversity that's going to be faced from the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think Pittsburgh against other teams and maybe steal a win or two and split against every team in the division, I think that just they're still going to finish 9-8.
Interesting. Maui, your record predictions for this AFC North.
Right. So in the fourth, I got the Browns. I got the Browns at 6-11. I got the Bengals at 11-6. Now, I'm going by the schedule. And if you look at the Bengals schedule, they play the Bills, the Chiefs, the Vikings, and the 49ers. I got them losing those games. But then, you know, if they played the Browns, they only beat the Browns once out of four games. They struggle against the Browns. You know what I mean? So I think the only team I got them sweeping is the Steelers. But I got them splitting with the Browns. So I got them 11-6. I got the Steelers at 13-4, lost to the Bengals. And but there's games there that make me nervous, like the Seahawks, the Colts, like it's certain games that could be a toss-up. So I got the Ravens at 14-3, but this was crazy. They beat the Steelers at the end of in December, which the Steelers could have been 14-3, but by the last game is going to mean so much. That's what I'm saying. They're going to be tied at 13, and whoever wins that game actually wins the division and goes in. I'm sorry I messed it up, but the way I looked at the schedule, there is games because at the end of the season y'all play the Ravens. Y'all played Miami, and damn, what other team was it? Was it the Chiefs or the 49ers? It's a game. Hold on. Let me see. I got it wrote down. Yeah, y'all play the 49ers and y'all play Miami. Then y'all play the Steelers for the last game. And I was like, either they can lose both games or they can win both games. You know what I mean? It's real interesting that I really feel like that can easily happen. But it's those teams like the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and it's just certain teams that I feel like we could beat that might be toss-ups. So I got Ravens 14-3. I got number 2 the Steelers at 13-4. I got the Bengals at 11-6, and I got the Browns at 6-11.
What you got, JB?
Okay, all right. So, this is a tough one. So, in first place, I'm going with the Bengals. I do agree that the Bengals, they generally tend to get off the slow starts, but
Right.
they usually get off the slow starts. I wouldn't be surprised if they get off to a slow start this year too, but they usually play much better the last half of the season. They play better. So I think I have the Bengals going 12-5. I have the Ravens going 11-6. I have the Browns going 10-7, and I have the Steelers going 9-8. And first, I don't think it's a crazy take. I actually last year people were talking about the AFC West, and I had a feeling that some of the teams in the AFC West weren't going to do well, but I think that, in my personal opinion, I think the AFC North is the strongest division in football, top to bottom. It's no doubt about it. I think all the teams here are going to finish above 500 if they stay healthy, and I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I think that I agree with you. I think one of those games in Week 18 is going to be flexed on Sunday Night Football.
So there's a method to my madness. So I did say either, but the game that's really going to be highlighted is going to be the Browns and the Bengals. And Deshaun Watson is going to go to the jungle and win the AFC North for the first time in the Cleveland Browns history since they've been back since 1999. The Cleveland Browns will win the AFC North with a record of 11-6. Then I got the Bengals at 10-7. The Ravens at 10-7, and then I got the Steelers at 9-8. The Cleveland Browns are going to the Cleveland Browns, yes. And to point, and I know I talked about it a little earlier, and also JB talked about it earlier. Mm-hmm. The fact of Deshaun Watson coming back, because obviously, I think in my personal opinion, the game that he came back was against us on New Year's Day. I think that's when I really started seeing the old Deshaun Watson, the 2020 Deshaun Watson. Then coupled now with Jim Schwartz as their defensive coordinator. And I think if they can become a top 10 defense, this defense, I think now has the perfect coordinator for this roster. Because Cleveland has a great roster.
Yeah, they always
right, but that's the problem. They got that. I think they got the stability now with Kevin Stefanski, which I wasn't against it. I wanted them to actually get Mike McCarthy, JP. So it's kind of funny to think, I really wanted him to go there instead of Dallas. So, but Stefanski's there. He's doing his thing. Now you bring in the Jim Schwartz, like I talked about earlier, who has had top 10 defenses in his tenure. And I would assume, especially with this type of roster that he got, he'll have a top 10 defense with this Cleveland roster. And I definitely think they will win the AFC North. I think it's going to happen this year.
As I looked at the schedule, man, like I was just shocked that the Bengals got to pay the Bills, the Chiefs, the Vikings, and the 49ers. And I was like, man, they don't like and you got to pay the Ravens. And I'm like, y'all really think they're going to be able to get
Maui, remember, I mean, Joe Burrow is one of the only quarterbacks that has a winning record against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, they demolished Buffalo last year in the playoffs. And let's not forget, I think, have you CP, have you done the NFC North yet?
No, that's Thursday.
Oh yeah. So I mean, and like I don't know if I'm gonna be available, but I'm just gonna say this. I think the Vikings are a team that's gonna take a big step back this year. Actually, they were very fortunate last year. Like they actually had a minus point differential, and they still had one of the best records in the league. So, and also let's not forget what the 49ers. There are questions about Brock Purdy's health. I don't think the schedule looks daunting, but like all those teams have questions actually, except for the Chiefs, in my personal opinion.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And it's funny that we brought up Minnesota, and the funny thing about it, because a lot of guys that we talked about earlier, but I know I talked about earlier, that were on that Minnesota team aren't there. We talked about like Zadarius Smith, and then we also talked about Patrick Peterson. So that's another thing too, where you look at, as kind of a tease for Thursday night, but it shows you like, it's different there in Minnesota. But yeah, man, this is, and I know, and I say this every week because I did the West. And I'm like, yeah, y'all, that's a good division too. But when you look at it from top to bottom, this is by far the best one in the AFC, and
it's the most rugged.
Right. It's weird. Like I talked about it. This used to be the black and blue division, and it still will be. But now you have these quarterbacks, so you'll still have that grit. That, like we said, it's come down to the wire. Like I think you're gonna follow this race week in and week out. I think pretty much after Thanksgiving, it's gonna be a frantic pace week in and week out. So.
This is a division that knows that this is the division that knows to win it, you're going to get bloodied, and it's not going to be easy. This is the division that knows to get through it, you're the most prepared team to face anyone. Because honestly, The only team that's actually beat the AFC North team in the playoffs has really been Kansas City Chiefs. Buffalo hadn't done it. Cincinnati's made it all the way to the AFC title game and then the Super Bowl, and then Baltimore has made it all as well. It's all about the AFC North is a tough division.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we're going to put a bow on the AFC North preview. So I'll go around the horn. Pretty much social media and upcoming projects you got going on, and I'll go first with my Beltway brethren. Let them know where they can find you at, JJ.
Outside of actually, being in DC, but Joe Jenkins on Instagram, JJ Jenkins on Facebook. I do have another show that I do with my boys on Friday called The Gauntlet, and do make special appearances on my girl Megan's show, The Sip Off, which talks about things WNBA.
Yeah, man, shout out to the Gauntlet. Yeah, y'all. Shout out to y'all.
I was a little lit last time. I was a little lit. I was a little lit.
Shout out to the Detroit Dom, and
Detroit
Dom and all them. Yeah, shout. Oh Lord, that boy crazy. But yeah. Maui, what you got? I'm gonna go JB first. JB, what you got?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Jamie Bailey, and on Instagram, Jamie B Foodie.
Jay. Hey, happy belated birthday, Jay.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Maui, what you got?
Your birthday.
Maui, Big Maui, wow, you know what it is, man. Facebook, Deshaun Morgan, DT Morgan 78. Instagram, great show, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like again, if my team don't make it, what I'm saying, I'm riding with these Ravens. I want Lamar to get his too, man.
You're a better man than me.
Hey, man. I mean,
we've always had a respected rivalry.
Yeah, for me, man, I'm not gonna act like I'm not a friend of Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? Everybody, Joe Burrow, oh, he a beast. But I'm just saying at the same time, like, yeah, my man was hurt. You know what I mean? Don't nobody want to say that,
Oh yeah, he's been hurt the last 2 years, and I definitely think now last year they would have made the playoffs. I'm not sure if they would have won the division, but definitely the year the Bengals made the Super Bowl, they were going to win the division, and Lamar's injury just derailed their season, unfortunately. And, his injury derailed their season last year somewhat, too, because they maybe win that playoff game. Maybe it's the Ravens making the AFC Championship game last year if Lamar stays healthy. So,
Yep.
They actually gave JK the dang ball.
Perhaps.
At the darn end of the day.
Well, let me ask you a question, man. What's going on with JK Dobbins? Like, I hear he's like holding out. Like, what's going on with that?
You got to look at all the running backs out here. The man feels like he has the most leverage right now to get it, and he has. And in my opinion, I kind of back him because even though he hasn't had 1,000 yards, I understand why he feels like he should get his money because when he has played, the team is better. Like he averages almost.
But he doesn't have any leverage though. He can't stay healthy. Like he's missed like 20. What I think he only been in the league for I think 2 or 3 years, and he missed 1 year. And then last year he voluntarily took a take off so he can get the scarring tissue out of his leg, which made him a better runner down the stretch. So like he could have still played, but he took it out. So he's missed 25 of his last 33 games though. He doesn't have the leverage though. Like I mean, like
I don't necessarily disagree. I don't necessarily think that's true because I think at the end of the day, because when he has been out, Gus Edwards has been formidable, but it's not that explosion. And that explosion, and again, also he has the fact of the matter he can bank on in the playoff game against Cincinnati in the red zone through the entire game. He never got one carry, and he was healthy. So we lost that game, and if you look at his stats that game, he was averaging 5 or 6 yards a carry. Cincinnati,
he averages
5 or 6.
Right.
So, like,
Yeah.
you couldn't stop him. You didn't give him the ball. The team has unfortunate play of the Shaqtin' the Fool in terms of the fumble that led to the game-changing play. With JK now, I can understand where he's like, look, and it's not necessarily because we're not a team that's not going to see somebody holding out think, oh, my God, he's the worst player in the world. We want him here. We understand what he's trying to do. And like I said, I'm no stranger to this. Ray Rice did not sign his extension until literally 1 minute before he was about to set over to free agency.
But Ray Rice had more leverage, though. He had better seasons than J.K. Dobbins.
But that depends on what you feel like is considered leverage. Maybe to you that the leverage is not there, but maybe to him and to other people that are around him that they back him, he does have leverage.
His agent is giving him bad. He has no leverage. Here's the bottom line.
Are the Ravens a team that can win without J.K. Dobbins?
I think that they can. I think that they can win without J.K. Dobbins.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Here's my thing about J.K. Dobbins. I think he's a good back, but here's the other thing too. Is he a game changer? I don't think he's a game changer.
Between him and Gus, I think so.
And here's the other thing too about J.K. Dobbins too. Is like good backs are a dime a dozen. Why do you think running backs are undervalued now? It's like it's supply and demand. It's easier for you to find. The reason why quarterbacks are overpaid and running backs are underpaid is because it's easier for you to find a very good running back than for you to find like an average quarterback. That's why Daniel Jones is making $40 million a year.
But he's on a team that actually values the running back.
So, JJ, I'm going to let you have a final word on that take, and then we're going to wrap it up.
No, I absolutely understand my man over here for sure, because it is a league that does not really care, and you can find somebody that can come in that can pass or run the ball effectively. But I will say JK is on a team that does value running backs more than others. I mean, we kept our fullback. Most teams don't have a fullback. We kept ours. So there is some value in there. But I believe get your money, man. Derrick Henry's even speaking out. All these other players, he sees what's going on in this world. So he's like, okay, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it?
Yeah. How long has J.K. Dobbins been in the league? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
okay. I'm sorry.
We're wrapping up. Yeah, we're right.
Yeah, wrap it up. Yeah, just wrap it up. I'll talk to him after you wrap it up. So.
Yes, because we hit at that hour mark, so we wanted to get it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, so I'll stop. Yeah, I'll stop. You can wrap it up. Yeah,
it's all good. So pretty much the podcast anyway get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, anywhere, Couch Coach Live, YouTube, Couch Coach Live, social media, Couch Coach Live, and then the website, Couch Coach Live. We're right at that hour because we want, so we're gonna get that going. So once again, appreciate you fellas for coming on tonight for the AFC North preview. We'll be back in 48 hours, and we'll be previewing the NFC North, where we talk about the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears, and the Detroit Lions. So we'll catch you guys in 48 hours, and we'll catch you on Thursday, and we out.
Welcome.